Wooting keyboards are becoming more and more popular among professional CS2 players, and there are tons of YouTube reviews out there recommending this keyboard. Many positive opinions made me curious, so I decided to write to Wooting and ask for a keyboard to review and see for myself if it is really that good. In this video I will talk about the most important features of the Wooting 80HE to help you decide if it is the right keyboard for you. First, I want to make it clear, even though I received the keyboard for review, it does not affect my opinion in any way. I've tested 80HE for over 5 months. When you first look at the Wooting 80HE, you might think, what kind of weird layout is this? For a long time, Wooting only had two keyboard sizes, a 60% and a full-size layout. The 60% keyboard was too small for me, because besides gaming, I also edit videos and need more keys. On the other hand, the full-size keyboard was too big. I didn't need the numpad on the right. Since I'm a big fan of TKL keyboards, I was really happy when Wooting finally released their 80% layout. This is the version I have. Its size is similar to a TKL keyboard, which means it doesn't have the numpad on the right side. Besides that, the 80HE also removes 4 extra keys, and the arrow keys are moved slightly to the left. In my opinion, the 80HE is a great balance between functionality and size. It lets you keep both hands close together, without worrying about accidentally hitting your mouse with the keyboard. The Wooting 80HE comes with Lecker V2 analog switches. Analog switches differ from traditional mechanical switches in the way they detect key presses. While standard mechanical switches are binary, meaning a key is either pressed or not pressed, analog switches can detect how far down a key is pressed. In a moment I will explain what that means in practice. You can change your keyboard settings using Wooting software called Wootility. You can download it to your PC, or if you prefer, use it directly in your browser. I have to say, the software is really well designed. It's very clean, easy to understand, and there are no useless extra features like you find in some other brands. Everything runs smoothly, and I didn't experience any lag or bugs. Now let me go through the main tabs and show you how I set up my keyboard for CS. Let's start with the two most important tabs, Actuation Point and Rapid Trigger. In the Actuation Point tab, you can set how far you need to press each key before it activates, from 0.1 mm to 4 mm. You can adjust it in steps of 0.1 mm. For comparison, regular mechanical keyboards have a fixed actuation point, usually around 2 mm. I really like that you can set a different actuation point for every key. For example, I set the Windows key to the max, which means I have to press it all the way down to activate it. That helps me avoid accidentally hitting it. I also set a high value on the G key, so I don't accidentally throw my weapon. For movement, I currently use 0.3 mm actuation. When I had it at 0.1, it was too sensitive for me. Sometimes I would accidentally move sideways in CS2. This customization is great. If you have heavy fingers, you can set a higher value. If you prefer a lighter feel, you can set it to something like 0.3 mm, like I did, and your keyboard will feel super responsive. Another cool feature, depending on the actuation value, the keys glow in different shades of purple. This makes it very easy to see which keys have the same actuation point. It's a small detail, but I like that Wooting paid attention to that. Also on the right side of the software, there is something called visual feedback. Right now I'm pressing the W key, and as you can see, the software shows me exactly how many millimeters I'm pressing it down. This helps you figure out what depth works best for each key. Such small details show how Wooting has thought of everything to make sure the player has no trouble customizing the setting to his needs. So again, big thumbs up to the developers for making such a clean and smart piece of software. Now let's move on to another very important feature, Rapid Trigger. Rapid Trigger lets the keyboard react the moment you release and press key again, without waiting for it to return all the way up. On regular mechanical switches, the key has to go back to a certain point, almost fully up, before it can register another press. This creates delay. With Rapid Trigger this problem is gone. It allows for extremely fast and precise key presses. By default, Rapid Trigger is set to just 0.15 mm. This feature is especially appreciated by FPS players, where every millisecond matters. Just like the actuation point, you can set Rapid Trigger for each key separately. Thanks to Rapid Trigger, you can stop and shoot slightly faster and be more confident that your shot will go exactly where you want. It also helps with small left-right movements, which is useful when you are clearing corners one by one. Personally, I enabled Rapid Trigger only on A and B keys. I turn it off for W and S because I've noticed it made me accidentally stop while running forward. Now you're probably wondering, can I feel the difference between rapid trigger and a normal keyboard? In my opinion, yes, but it's not a huge difference. That doesn't mean you will suddenly go from level 1 to level 10 on Faceit just by buying this keyboard. You still need to know how to counter-strafe properly to really use the keyboard's full potential, but your movement become more precise and you feel like you are more in control. This leads to a better gaming experience. Your strays feel quicker and sharper, which makes you a bit harder to hit, especially when shooting one-taps and doing small left-right moves between shots. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion. You might feel different. Right now, I'm at level 9 on Faceit and have 24k points in CS2 Premier, but be aware, it might take some time to build muscle memory to fully take advantage of rapid trigger. Sometimes the keyboard can even feel too responsive. That's why it's important to find the right settings. Even though the difference isn't massive, a very good player, or a pro, can use those split seconds to win fights. Now let's talk about typing experience. I don't mod my keyboards, so I will describe how it feels straight out of the box. The keyboard comes with lacquer V2 L60 switches. These are improved switches, they feel more stable and sound better than the older V1 version. These switches have increasing resistance, meaning the deeper you press, the more force is needed. It takes about 40 grams of force to start moving the key to register input and 60 grams to press it all the way down. The Wooting 80HE also has a silicone gasket mount, which connects the switch plate and the PCB. This helps absorb the impact and makes typing feel softer and quieter. Let me show you the sound test of the 80HE compared to my other two keyboards, HyperX Alloy FPS with Cherry MX Red and Logitech G915 TKL Linear. As you could hear, the wooting is quieter, and in my opinion the sound of pressing keys is more satisfying. Typing on this keyboard feels great and very confident. I don't worry about accidentally pressing the wrong key. If you prefer lighter switches, Wooting also offers lacquer L45, which need about 30 grams to start moving and 45 grams to press fully down. But if you want these lighter switches, you will need to buy the parts and build the keyboard yourself. I think that's a small downside, since some people prefer to buy a fully assembled keyboard. It would be nice if in the future, Wooting allowed customers to choose between heavier or lighter switches when buying the keyboard. Now let's talk about the keycaps. Wooting uses double-shot PBT keycaps, and they are the best I've used so far. They have a slight curve for your fingers, and they feel very grippy. I have sweaty hands, and I feel my fingers stay in place on these keycaps. For example, on my G915 TKL, I have to install Pulsar Super Grips to get the better grip. Also, there is no key rattle, unlike the G915 TKL, which I will show for the comparison. The texture is rough in a good way, and they feel very grippy. I really like that Wooting gives you high quality PBT keycaps pre-installed, so you don't need to pay extra for premium keycaps. That's another big plus for Wooting. If you like to mod your keyboards, Wooting's website offers accessories and extra parts. But for me personally, I don't mod keyboards and I don't see any need to change anything. Let's go back to the software. At the very top, you will find the quick settings, place where you can quickly check all the most important settings of your keyboard. If you want to check the actuation point for each key, just hover your mouse over that section. When you hover over the rapid trigger tab, you will see which keys have the rapid trigger enabled and their sensitivity. On the right side, you will also see info about Tachyon mod, which boosts the polling rate of your keyboard to 8000 Hz. It does reduce your RGB lighting, but for me, performance matters more than pretty lights. Another super useful tab is called My Profiles. You can create different profiles for different games. For example, if you use different keys for movement or ults. You can even import profiles from your friends or pro players. That way you don't need to waste time setting every key manually. In the video description, I will include profiles from Twistzz, ZywOo, and a link to a video with profiles from other CS2 pro players. Here is a cool fact. 4 profiles can be stored directly in your keyboard's onboard memory. That means you can plug your keyboard into any computer and switch between your saved profiles without utility software. You can use the mode button to switch between 2 profiles. If you have more than 2, you can cycle through them using a key combo. Yet another example of how well thought out this keyboard is. Now onto a really cool feature, the remap tab. You can assign any function to any key on the keyboard. Let's say you want to crouch using the Windows key. Just search for the control, select the Windows key, then click on the left control. Now every time you press the Windows key, it will act as left control. At the end, just click the yellow Save on the keyboard button. I love that this is built directly into Utility, no need for third-party software, plus it's super quick and easy to use. Once again, huge props to Wooting for designing such a great piece of software. In the same tab, you can also set up a function layer. Let me show you how I use it. I select function layer 1. Now if I press Fn1 plus right arrow, the computer reads it as F14. You can have up to 12 additional F keys, which you can use. As you can see, I've added 6 extra F keys. I use them in CS2 when watching pro player matches, which saves me time. You can also get basic functions like play, pause for videos. And since the keyboard doesn't have a volume wheel, I set Fn plus page up, page down to control system volume. You are free to remap the keys however you like. The only limit here is your imagination. You can also customize your keyboard lighting. There are different presets and effects to choose from. I'm not someone who cares much about RGB, so I just picked a colorful preset and never looked back. Worth noting, when tachyon mode is active, RGB effects are disabled and brightness is limited to 70%. There's also a light indicator tab, where you can customize the light bar to show useful info, like which profile is active, how much RAM or CPU you're using, or just for cool lighting. Let's now talk about the design, build quality, and what's in the box. With RGB turned on, the keyboard looks really clean and modern. On the side, there is a Wooting logo. The case slightly narrows at the base, which makes it easier to pick up and move around. Every corner is rounded, so if you accidentally bump it with your hand, it won't hurt as much. If I had to nitpick, I found 2 small issues with the case. When I press down on this part with my finger, the case moves slightly. Also, if I press on the side here, I can hear a creaky sound from the plastic. These aren't huge problems, but considering the keyboard costs over 200 euros, I would like to see that improved. The cable also stands out compared to others. If you often change mice, thanks to different cable color, you won't disconnect it accidentally. Just another thoughtful detail from Wooting. The keyboard doesn't have built-in feet to adjust the angle. Instead, Wooting includes interchangeable silicone feet in the box with 2 tilt options, 6 and 10 degrees. I personally like the standard tilt, so I didn't feel the need to switch them out. Inside the box, besides the keyboard, you get a dust cover, a USB-C to USB-C cable, with a USB-C to USB-A adapter, 7 extra keycaps, a keycap puller, a few spare screws, and a postcard. Wooting also includes 3 spare Lecker V2 switches and 1 yellow Lecker switch, which has a lower actuation force, letting you try out and see what you prefer, lighter or heavier. Honestly, I think every keyboard should come with extras like this, especially spare switches. Since the Lecker switches are hot swappable, if one breaks, you can easily swap it out yourself. I have 2 keyboard ideas I would love to see from Wooting in the future. A model with a volume knob and dedicated media buttons, for skipping tracks and pausing. Sure, you can do it with key combos, but for people who prefer physical buttons, this could be a great option. Second idea is a low-profile TKL keyboard, kind of like the Logitech G915. Also, I would love to see Wooting sell fully built keyboards with switch options. Additionally, I would love to see Wooting offer a keyboard layout with a larger control key, similar to what Asus did in the past. Let's move to the price. The Wooting 80HE is highly customizable. You can choose the pre-assembled version, or you can buy just the module, if you want to use your own case or keycaps. You also get to pick between 2 case materials, ABS plastic, which is what I'm using, or zinc alloy, which costs around 100 euros more. If you go with the plastic case, there is also a transparent, ghost version, like the one used by Twistzz. You can also choose your preferred keyboard layout, language, and keycap style. The amount of customization here is a big plus. It means every gamer can create the keyboard to his needs and preferences. Price-wise, ABS version costs 220 euros and zinc alloy version costs 320 euros. The zinc alloy version also includes a travel case, which can come in handy if you attend LAN events. Wooting offers a 4-year warranty on the keyboard and 2 years on the LEDs, which puts them ahead of brands like Razer, Logitech, SteelSeries, Pulsar or Lamzu, who typically offer only 2-year warranties. There is a link in the video description where you can buy the Wooting 80HE using my affiliate code. It costs you nothing extra, but it helps support my work, so thank you in advance. So who is this keyboard for? If you are a tech enthusiast and love tweaking your setup to match your preferences, this is easily a top tier product. With great keycaps, intuitive software, profile switching, extra accessories, and tons of features, you can really tell that Wooting thought of everything. It's no surprise that so many people recommend this keyboard, and it's becoming more and more popular among pro players. Right now I don't plan to test other keyboards, because Wooting already gives me everything I need. That said, I would still love to see a model with a volume knob and dedicated media buttons. Also, I'm curious how I would like playing on lighter switches, and I would love to see a model with a larger control key, similar to what Asus once did. Is the keyboard worth the price? That's hard to say definitely. I would need to test more keyboards in different price ranges to really know. That's a decision only you can make. But what might help you decide is the longer warranty. It shows that Wooting stands behind their product. I've been using the keyboard for 5.5 months, and so far I haven't had any issues. If there is one thing I would like to see improved, it's the case quality, and I would love to see option to buy a fully pre-built version with lighter switches. Lastly, huge thanks to Wooting for sending me this keyboard for review. I hope this video helps you decide whether the Wooting 80HE is right for you. See you in the next one. Bye!